Hey, welcome to Redmen TV. So listen, it's time to have a big old chat about Liverpool's recruitment policy under the current ownership group and whether they are doing the right or wrong thing. This is taken from this week's debate show on Redmen Plus.
Can I just ask us a slightly adjacent question to this, I guess, is what's your stance, both of you, sort of on like the recruitment strategy? Because I've seen sort of chat online about like we've sort of moved away from signing like the unsexy player. Like Wijnaldum wasn't a sexy player when we signed him, we relegated team, but he was like the right age profile, fit. My counter argument to people who've sort of been discussing that, like we've been chasing, so we don't get Tchouaméni in the summer. Where was the backup type thing? My counter argument to that is, well, what we've done instead is we've gone after youth. So we've gone for the Harvey Elliott's, the Carvalhos. They're going to grow into these roles, but obviously you've then got the problem of you've got to wait 2 or 3 years.
I think it's a bit simplistic when people go, well, because Mane was our second choice option over, Brandt was first choice, Mane was second choice, or Salah. You know what I mean? There was the Goethe, in fact it was Goethe, wasn't it? It was Goethe or Mane, it was Brandt or Salah, and you can go down those sorts of lists. The problem, but people forget that Liverpool were a bit crap when we signed them players, so it was much easier to buy improvements, and I think it's Liverpool feel that it's a waste of money buying lads who are all just to buy them as squad players. What you're meant to do is you buy better, and what's your best level becomes your backup. Whereas if you start buying backups, you are quietly undercutting the quality of your squad. Now you could argue we've done that anyway by just keeping hold of certain players, keeping hold of injury prone players, and maybe holding on to one or two a little bit too long, but it's whether you agree with it or disagree with it. It's kind of by the by. I'm just saying that's what they've done. That's what their process always was. You could afford to buy a Gini Wijnaldum because odds are he was better than Emre Can. You know what I mean? And you could afford to buy. You could bring in Mane because, let's be honest, he was miles better than Adam Lallana in a front three kind of situation because he had tons and tons of pace. You could afford to buy Salah because we only had one lad with pace. We needed 2 lads with pace. It became much easier, but whenever we've then tried to upgrade the front three, we've found it really difficult because, well, then you've got 3 guys who score 15 goals a season minimum. It's a very difficult ask to do that, and then you start to get into the brackets of why you're paying £80 million for Nunes and so on. So I think it's why, and I've said this a lot in the last few weeks, it's why we wait for Van Dijk and don't buy Stefan de Vrij, who's had a very good career as the Dutch centre half, who's played at a good level, but no one ever talks about him in the brackets of the best centre halves to play the game. That's what Liverpool have to do because they can't afford to take too many gambles on footballers, and they will always. Sorry, Ian, I'll let you jump in. They will always gamble on someone in the building already than someone coming in at a lesser, unless they can guarantee quality when they're bringing in. You'll trust someone who's an existing squad player who knows what's happening and understands the culture and fits in with the culture, than take a gamble on someone coming in who might be more available. But what if he's not? What if he doesn't quite gel? What if it takes 6 months to get him up to speed? That's my take on it. Sorry to interrupt, but we are sponsored by the Bet Victor Last Man Standing show. We're going to introduce a short clip from that. Make sure you head over, watch the full thing, and leave a like and subscribe.
I think it's Man City, and I think it's because, like, all of the rivalries we were just discussing come from either like a geographical reasoning or, like, let's say maybe a bit of jealousy or frustration that said club might have won something but someone else didn't, or your team didn't. But I think with City, it's been forced upon everybody, whether we like it or not. Like when they came in, obviously for Chelsea, people seem to think that it was only when Abramovich came in that we did anything, but that's not actually true. Even before that, we were still playing in the Champions League, winning FA Cups. But Man City is kind of just like out of nowhere. We had to all just think about yet another team doing something decent. So I think in terms of that forcing of the rivalry, for me, I think it's, as much as it's annoying that they still seem to win everything, and they will probably continue to win everything for a significant period of time, I think to see them win stuff doesn't trigger me as much as it would, say, how you would celebrate, Flav, if you do win a Carabao Cup. I think I'd still be more annoyed with you than I am at Boovy for celebrating another City Premier League. You know what I mean?
Yep, the link to that will be in the description underneath. Click through, just say Redmen sent me in the comments underneath, and that makes us look boss. Anyway, on with the chat.
My take on it is we brought in Carvalho and Elliott because they were like the next part of the evolution of this Liverpool squad. I think Liverpool in general, they were 1 in, 1 out. And I think part of the problem was we've not... At some point, we were going to sell either Keita or Oxen and decided against it, or we couldn't move them out. So...
But we clearly couldn't move either of them out this summer because they were both injured.
Good, they were both injured. And I think... My take on that is I think they should have been, one of them should have gone the summer before. Not saying both of them should have, but one of them, and then we should have refreshed there. I think another problem is as well is that we used to buy robust players who don't get injured, and they were one of our main things that we looked at. It doesn't seem that is part of the priority now. Yeah. I mean, you just look at the signing of Arthur. The first thing we looked at when he signed was his injury record. I mean,
well, I think the first thing they looked at was, is he available and can we get him to sign in the next 2 days? It was a significant part of that transfer.
Yeah, and but then we got him in, and then we were all excited for a couple of hours, and then we seen there we go. And it happened, and everything happened.
No, you're right, and that is it. You know, that ruthlessness in the transfer market is maybe a little bit of the issue. But again, I feel like I'm some like this mad like everything the club does is perfect kind of approach. But when it's like being a business owner, I can empathise with decisions. It's like you can only sell people that people want to buy. You know, by all accounts, Ox had a deal with Newcastle, wanted Ox in January, and he turned them down. He wanted to stay, and that's he ended up having a cob on all for the rest of the season because he didn't get used. And I think that whether that was a little bit of like, well, mate, you had your chance to go and play footy. There's no chance for you to play footy here, so you've kind of made your bed. And yet there's now a lad who knows that he's not got a long-term future. He knows his contract's up, and he's still at the club. And he must be looking at it going, look at my age, look at my injury record. I'll just hang on to the end of the season now. Get a some half decent club will take me, but I'll get a big wedge, and that'll be me boxed. And also that knock-on of the COVID thing of Liverpool have built themselves this system where they have to maximise value of sales. They've become very good sellers. You know, you're old enough to remember Liverpool used to be terrible sellers. Terrible. Like they remember getting like we made a profit on Peter Crouch, but just. You know what I mean? That was seen as an okay bit of business, but Liverpool had a weak bargaining position because they knew we were sell to buy, and they knew that they need to get this out the door. So everyone who left, like Chelsea, were always great sellers. They buy people in and secretly make a profit on every lad they moved on. Liverpool couldn't do that. Now they can. But that comes with a knock-on effect if you've got to play a bit of brinksmanship and you've got to hold on to players and you've got to say no to certain deals because our margin for error is so much smaller because it's not Man City can go, okay, you know, they've done brilliantly in selling on two, by the way, but they can every now and again go, oh, who gives a shit, 50 million, whatever, let's go and buy another one. We can only do that every now and again. If we have too many of them, our entire house of cards falls down, and what's kind of it's happening already, but the alternative what I'm suggesting is the alternative was probably considered, and this was we've ended up this one because not like someone's blindly gone, oh well, whatever, you know. I think they've tried their best, and
they've just needed a body in.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Like, it's mad how, you know, I'd always say Liverpool haven't had to build from the top before. Not in my time of supporting Liverpool. Liverpool have never been up right at the pinnacle. We were on the way down when I started supporting us, and then since then we've been trying to get to the top and having false starts, and then not knowing how to go the next step. Well, we made the step, we got to the top, and now we're having to like build right at the pinnacle of the mountain. And it's obviously a much different process from the climb.
Me and John were talking about it just before we started as well. It's like I was a fan like late 80s, early 90s, so I seen us at the top and then decline. So when I'm seeing the likes of it now, I'm probably a little bit more, I don't want to say relaxed because it's hard watching us right now, but I can accept it a little bit more because during the 90s we won, like, after we won the League Cup, we didn't win nothing then until 8-9 years down the line.
Until the treble, wasn't it? Yeah.
So we'll get back.
Yeah, that's true. But it's, again, I can appreciate the difficulties. I mean, it's just whether it's how angry you want to get about them is the issue.
I do think as well, and I'm very guilty of this because, you know, I used to do a show about it with Chris, but you we can sort of look for analogues in it as well. I think a lot of people sort of look at like that Barca team and how they kept stretching that, and then look where they've ended up. The only teams who've really done sort of this and kept the same group of lads really, other than City, and obviously City have got unlimited money, is probably Bayern. And then Bayern reached that point, didn't they, where they were like, we've got to sell Robin, we've got to, and they pushed it too far after we snotted them. So it's hard, and you know, I just think it's like you've got to sort of put yourself back in the human side of it, and that, like, you know, it's one thing saying, well, you've got Keita there, you've got Chamberlain, get rid of them, and it's like, well, yeah, but they've got to want to go. And you know what I mean, like what you're saying with the Newcastle thing, it's like you can't just say, well, we're selling you to Newcastle. Like, he's got to want to sign for Newcastle as well. You know, and that's why loads of these lads
he regrets it now, by the way. He deeply regrets it now. No, but no, that's the point, is that we're never privy to it, because again, our experience of selling players comes in computer games where you click a button and it happens large by and large. But there's obviously lots more moving parts to it. That's not to say I don't think Liverpool should spend more money. I think they should. I think they absolutely should. I think it would be negligent to not get someone half decent in January. Hopefully there's someone of the sufficient quality available without it being another Arthur Melo, Ozan Kabak, Ben Davies style. Is a human being who can play football kind of situation. Hopefully it is someone they actually want. It's more Diaz than that. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's clear it is possible, isn't it? We actually have a good track record of doing business in January, as it turns out. But no, it is a really difficult one. And again, I don't want this to. It's not. People often ask me, like, I get it on the. I put a tweet out about watching Prey, the Predator prequel the other day, and said I really enjoyed this. And someone said, Paul, can you tell me what your opinion is on FSG in or FSG out? And I was like, oh my God, like, you know, every time Liverpool are crap, I've been getting asked this for the last 10 years. And I just don't think it's an issue. And by that, not to say that I think they're perfect. It's just they clearly need to do more, but I don't think they don't want to do more, because there's no benefit for Liverpool to have a drop in revenues, or for Liverpool to stop being a club that wins major honours, because the beefing up the value of the assets all part and parcel of what it does in the grand scheme of the overriding FSG package. It's not, you know, it's important for Liverpool's overall status in the game to be good, because it helps them in what they do. So they'll probably, then what they've got is a track record of course correction. They're getting things wrong, and then actually someone going, yeah, and then them getting it right. The idea of chucking them out and going back into the wilderness of looking for another ownership group is mad. I don't know what FSG out looks like is my thing, because the only way you're getting better, and by better I presume people mean owners will spend more of their own money, is to get an ownership group that, let's be honest, comes with a suspect background. It's either it's a sports washing project, or it's some sort of like sugar daddy deal, which I don't think really exists anymore. You can't sports wash with Liverpool. You can. That's why Chelsea are just going to go back to being another football team. They might be able to be what we've been over the last few years, but they're never going to be Roman Abramovich Chelsea again, because they're a big football club now. They have too many eyes on them, and you know what, you can sports wash Newcastle because you've got this grateful fan base who are so desperate for anything. They're so blinded by the money, they don't give a shit to look under the fucking, look behind the curtain, see where it's come from. City were exactly the same. You can't do that at Liverpool because the fan base wouldn't allow it. It would be toxic from minute one. If if the same ownership group that bought Newcastle came in at Liverpool, there would be fucking anarchy. People would be setting fire to Anfield. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
True, yeah. Rightly so as well, because I'd be one of them.
No, exactly, and that's where we're at. Is that what does it look like? Because there's no other football owners who aren't bankrolled by states or by oligarchs or whatever, who have done a better job in the last 7 years. And people can go, it's all Jurgen Klopp and blah blah blah. All right, well, it's unprovable, but he likes working within that system. He's enjoyed that. He hasn't decided to get off at any point, because he'll have been offered jobs galore in that time. Real Madrid will have been throwing money at him every year, going, yeah, come and have a go over here. He's been happy to stick it out
and extend.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the other sort of tacit thing there as well is, obviously got a history of it in terms of Hicks and Gillett and stuff. That ownership is at least accountable to the fan base. Like they have backed down on everything when the fan base has sort of said we don't want this, and that's again sort of the thing I always think gets sort of lost in the FSG out thing. It's like in and out. It's like, well, everything we've sort of asked, it took time, but they've ended up coming round to our side. You know what I mean? And that doesn't happen if you have a different owner.
I know exactly. And that's the mistakes. I don't know. They've made some stupid mistakes. Everyone's made. There's not an ownership group that hasn't made stupid mistakes, but they've delivered a degree of success. And I think we're at an interesting stage now where they've paid. I said they've paid for the climb. They've funded it, and the way they've funded it has led to us. In the last 3.5 years, 4 years, we've won every trophy you can win. So it's worked to a point. It's now, what does the next evolution look like? Does that require them to do something different? Can we rebuild a team to maintain ourselves at that level with the same business model? Nobody knows that. It looks like no. So if that's no, then are they going to put their hands? Because if they decide, then we're just happy to go back into the pack of being between 4th and 8th for a couple of years. That's when you'd have to start to question, what the motivations are behind stuff. But
is it just FSG though as well? Because Klopp notoriously likes to work with a small squad, so maybe Klopp needs to start thinking different now, and get a bigger squad now.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, there's loads of things that we don't know. All we know is that we all want Liverpool to be the best team in the world every season, and we want us to challenge for every honour, which we have done. We want more of that. We don't want the party to end, and it looks like the party is ending. So when it is, you're starting to look around. It's like, the party's ending, so everyone's starting to grab what they can to extend it and keep it going. Whereas, maybe it does need a bit of fresh thinking and stuff. But again, on the in and out stuff, I don't think people realise how much turmoil that costs a football club and what it causes and what damage it causes to the fan base, what it causes to the support. All people aren't behind the team anymore. There's infighting, and there's protesting and all that kind of stuff. If they then decide to pull funding in the short term because they're thinking, well, fuck you, that has a destabilising effect. The best thing to do is build with what you've keep within the framework of what you've got, but push for more and try to find a way to make it work again. Which, like I say, I don't know. Maybe it's stupid blind faith. My belief in them is that they will want to, because I don't see that any insensible business people would want to not have their asset be the best it can be. Now, I don't know. We went through before. I remember 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, going through their asset stripping. And we were there because they're letting Pepe Reina go, and all the big wage earners are getting off, and we're getting these lads in on lower wages. That's an asset strip. That looks like a guy's coming in and ripping the club off. What it was them going, nah, these lads are on too much money for what we're getting out of them. We've got to start from scratch. We've got to clear the decks, and we've got to build up. And that looked mental at the time. But it got us, so kind of just got to, it's annoying, but you've kind of got to sit back and let the people do the thing. I have no burning passion to go back to the barricades, because I think it's a bit like twisting on 19 in pontoon or 20. We might look out and get the perfect owner who provides everything Man City provides, but they haven't got questionable human rights issues behind them, and they haven't got dodgy sources of how they're funding things and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, good luck with that. Anything else? Do you want to move on? Should we move on? Thank you so much for checking out that segment from this week's debate show. That was actually a bonus topic that kind of got thrown up in conversation. We had a good old deep sort of 40-minute chat around Liverpool's formation options and where they're lacking, and maybe what they can do to jumpstart a bit of consistency, even if it's only in the final few games before the break. Really, really good stuff indeed. We also went through our greatest Liverpool free kick takers of all time as well. The full show, the debate show, each and every week over on redmenplus.com in video and in podcast form. Go and check it out.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please do drop a like on it and give us a subscription to this YouTube channel as well. If you want even more Liverpool content in your lives, either in podcast or video form, check out redmenplus.com, our subscription service. It's absolutely brilliant and you will love it.